Hello again, it's Lock Noob, and we have an extremely gorgeous but highly reflective Tessa padlock, and this was sent to me kindly by the amazingly talented Talan Pick, all the way from Spain. And this is, you can see it's a Tessa by Assa Abloy now. Sadly, they've taken over everybody. But this is a CL55TD60CR. So this is a Tessa TD60 core inside here. I don't know what the D bit means, but it is cool, and it just looks like, well, if you look at the key, it just looks like any standard sort of 6-pin dimple lock with, you know, reasonable bitting. Not too surprising, nothing crazy going on with the key, not even any key control dimples on the side. All looks funky until you try and tension it. When you tension it, well, of course you can only tension it one way. The lock only turns there we go, clockwise. You can't open the padlock anti-clockwise, it just doesn't work. But yeah, when you try and tension it using a tension tool, and here is one here, and you turn it clockwise, you think, oh, I'm in for a winner. I just need to tension clockwise, knowing that there's probably going to be some spools inside. Pick anti-clockwise, down on those pins, everybody's going to be happy, right? No, I'm actually doing this now, and I can't feel a single binding pin. In fact, I'm not going to lie, it's been a while since I picked a Tessa T60 or 80 or anything like that. Didn't think anything of it. Thought, oh, have I lost my touch? Decided, actually, you know what, I'm just going to take it out and gut it and see what's going on. And it has a bloomin' check pin inside, about just, I think, after pin 4, at a 45-degree angle going into the pin stack. And it's a bit of a pain to locate and to set. Now, I assume that technically it could bind at any point. In this lock, you have to set that pin first, otherwise the core won't turn enough to bind the other 6 pins in the lock. So yeah, there is a moral lesson there, and I think one is, it's all well and good when you're in your office or bedroom or lounge picking a lock, but in the field it really helps to know what the lock is or could be, and what traps and things could be on the inside. Because if I didn't know that check pin was there, I probably would never be able to tension the lock or figure out how to. So yeah, so I think a lot of picking locks in the field is about knowledge of the locks that you pick. Once you have that knowledge, actually this isn't a horribly tricky lock. It's, you know, it's above average, I'd say, but it's not beyond the realms of humanity. But there you go. So yeah, very, very, very cool lock, and I think the best thing to do with such a cool lock is throw it in a vise and get picking it. Okay, so we're in the vise. There's that key. Quite an interesting bitting, because we've got the sort of medium set, then a very high set, then almost a 0 lift, and then quite a deep, well, a very shallow pin, and then 2 medium-ish set pins. So yeah, it's interesting bitting, not the worst, not the best, but there you go. But what is weird about this lock is you really do not get tension on the core at all. All the pins are springy until you set this little check pin, and that is quite hard to find. It's around here somewhere. You've got to get the angle just right and sort of lift it in. You'll know you've got it because the core turns slightly when you do. You'll also feel all the pins bind, so gotta get it just right. It really is fiddly. There, got it. Right, that means the pin should be binding now. You really do feel it turn. I've got some medium tension, and yeah, pin 2's binding. Let's see what we're going with that. Loosen the tension up a bit. Got a little click out to pin 2. Pin 1, nothing. Nothing on 3, nothing 4. So if 2 was binding but isn't anymore, it might be because I need to use a curved flag now to set it a little deeper. Hear that click? That might mean that now another pin binds. 1, yeah. 4, nothing. 5, nothing. Okay, back through. Again, if it feels like nothing's binding, maybe something deeper, and it could be 2. That's 1, 2, no. If you really don't feel anything, go back to that little check pin again, loosen up the tension and just check that it hasn't sort of slipped in or anything, and then go in. Oh yeah, pin 1's binding. So it must have just been that check pin just being a bit of a pain. If nothing feels like it's binding and you think the check pin's done, then go in with a curve flag and just, yeah, I felt pin 2 click, and just tap on any of the pins which you feel are holding it back, and just keep going with that curve flag again, just to make sure that everything's set how you expect. Try pin 1, nothing. 2, feels set. 3, nothing. 4, nothing. 5, oh, little something on 5. Nothing on 6. Okay, back to 1. Oh, now we've got to click on 1. Back to 6 is binding now. So it's chest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, back in with that curve flag. Little click on 3 there, and just hit 6, and there we go. Right, let's get and gut this. So, oh, sorry about all the scrapey noises. Now, gutting this is a bit of a pain, and we will definitely need a shim, and I'll show you why, and a screwdriver. So get in there and release that core. We got it. Got it. There we go. Gently this time, no scraping. The check pin is here, but it goes in at a sort of angle, almost like 45 degrees. So, and it's really, really fragile. In fact, I think it's on a spring. It might be fused to this, but you've got to be super careful with it. I'll show you it by showing you, but definitely, oh, I need to get the circle off the back. Jumping the gun a little bit. Definitely take your time with the gutting of this if you're not used to it, because it's a lock which I imagine you could easily break if you didn't take a little bit of care over what you're doing. By breaking the lock, I mean, of course, damaging the little check pin, which would be a shame. It'd be still quite a good lock, 6-pin lock without it, but you know, I'm trying not to deform the circlip. That's why I'm going kind of slow on this. There we go. Don't want to warp it. I don't mind it expanding, but don't want to bend it this way because it makes the lock work very rough. Anyway, so key in, turn one of these little tabs up to the top like that, then slide down here, not here, but down here, the shim, and make sure you slide it all the way in like this to the end. I'm trying to get it nice and central. Then it should be relatively easy to, where's my follower? Just pop that out like this and keep the shim in place. You see the shim is going to be pushing against that little check pin there. Now, for reasons I can't quite figure out, and doesn't seem to be key control, doesn't affect the way it works at all, is you've got a little check pin thing here in one position, which I can't seem to get out. I'll soon get the other one there. So you seem to have 2 check pins. Oh, dropped pin 5 there. Put that there. One of which is a bit harder to get out, but I don't really know what it does. It doesn't seem to be a passive key control pin. There's no key control on the side of the lock. It's a bit longer as well. I really can't figure out what that one is for in that position. Yeah, doesn't seem to sort of do much. Maybe it could be a key control pin. Maybe it just isn't in this lock. I don't know. And then we'll get the key pins out. So that was 5. So where's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Move you here. They're sort of T-pin shaped because they don't want to fall into the keyway. So that's 6. Now I've looked inside this before, and moving this way up, these are kind of cool key pins. They are, I don't know what you want to call them, slightly spooled. I'll show one up close in a second. And this one here. There you go. Yep, that's good. Anything about the core? Nothing, no. Let's just grab one of these really cool. Ah, there's a little wafer on top of this one, look. There you go. There's a little master wafer on top of this, but the tips are spooled and slightly beveled. Let's see if I can dare knock that master wafer off. So the master wafers normally make them a little bit easier to pick, which in this lock is probably not a bad thing. It's a pretty tricky little lock, especially if you don't know about that check pin. And then we'll just go around and gut down the front. So there seems to be a master wafer at the bottom of that pin, which makes no difference to the picking at all, which is very strange. Same with this second pin. So these are at the bottom and couldn't possibly come into play at all, so don't know why they're there. Then these are like I call them like barrel spools or cracker spools. They're kind of cool. Very Assa Abloy types of spool pins. They don't act like very deep spools. They're more like serrated pins, truthfully. Now they've got, I think, all steel springs, which is quite nice. Again, a bit harder to pick. But here is that little side pin where it sits down the bottom. So I'm going to move that shim out of the way. There we go. You see it? Just poking out there. I'll tap it with a hook for you. So going through the back. It's just sprung and goes down quite far. It's very sharp as well, this little pin. Can you see it? Very cool, isn't it? I'm not going to remove it. I'm just going to show you it's there. Nothing interesting about the Bible at all. Let's put the lock there. And yeah, these are the pins. Let me move that. Really nice, aren't they? So we do have, is there only one master wafer in this? Yeah, it looks like only one master wafer in position 3, which comes into play. All the rest don't seem to have it. They're just serrated. So you've got sort of, let's call them serrated drivers and steel anti-drill, I guess, serrated key pins. Really nice lock, especially tricky because of that little check pin there. While I've got you, let me just show you that in position and how the hook comes up to grab it. And I've marked on the pick here somewhere there, tiny little black blob, and you should see that when I get to that position, I can, so poke it back down, I can get in underneath it, and you've got to find the exact right position. It's about there, and just poke it up there. I don't know why, it's relatively hard to find, but it is. It's only a small little gap, and it's at a slight angle, so you can't get in at its natural angle, which would be here, because that's where the pins are. So you sort of have to push the pick down and slightly turn it in to where the pin is. That's what I found. If you don't know that and where to find it, then it can be really, there you go, like that. It can be really tricky to get on top of that, and you might just not know what's happening in terms of why you can't tension the lock, why you can't pick it, why nothing sets. It's really frustrating, but that's the trick. Anyway, that is the Tesa Assa Abloy padlock from Talon Pick with the TD60 core. Really cool, really love it. If you do, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Really helps my channel out. If you have a comment, leave a comment. I read them all, reply to as many as I can, and of course I will see you all next time.